The Purge, a 2013 horror film directed by James DeMonaco, which is about members of a wealthy family who find themselves endangered by a gang of murderers during the annual Purge, a night where all crime including murder is temporarily legal. The government sanctions this annual 12-hour purge due to America being ravaged by crime and overcrowding prisons. This movie is full of violence and thrills with some real creepy moments, so get yourselves comfy and let's take a look at the top 10 moments from The Purge. Number 10. The emergency broadcast. The Sandins family are having dinner and talking about their day until they realise that 7 PM is fast approaching. Father, James Sandin, sells high security systems for people who want to lock themselves away from the Purge activities. And of course they have their very own security system on their house. He then presses the codes to fully secure the house, which by the way is a very stunning house. Then comes the emergency broadcast on TV, which starts off with a very creepy, realistic emergency broadcast, coming up with the message telling you that this is not a test, followed with instructions of what is allowed and what isn't allowed in the next 12 hours. Weapons of class 4 and lower have been authorized for the Purge, and government officials of ranking 10 are immune from the Purge and are not allowed to be harmed. Once the Purge siren goes off, all crime including murder will be legal for 12 hours. It also states that police, fire and emergency medical services will not be available until the following morning at 7 AM, which is just terrifying. Imagine if you had a house fire and no fire brigade comes for your rescue. The message then ends saying, "May God be with you all." Then sounds the siren, which sounded like a terrifying siren from the old world wars. What makes this whole scene scary is that it makes you think, would the government actually do this in real life? I mean, what would you do if they did? Would you be a purger or would you hide away? Number 9. Henry the boyfriend tries to kill James. Daughter Zoe Sandin has a boyfriend called Henry, who she sneaks into a bedroom from time to time because Father James is not a fan. After the house is secured and the purge begins, Henry pops up in Zoe's bedroom after he had stayed in the house earlier so he could be locked in. Henry tells Zoe that he is here to talk with her dad because while the house is in lockdown, he cannot throw him out and he'll have to listen to what he has to say. So Henry leaves Zoe in her bedroom, assuring her that he's just gonna tell her dad how much he loves her. But Henry has a plan all of his own. While James goes to see what's going on with his security system, Henry arrives armed with a gun. Wife Mary spots him and tells James that Henry has a gun, and James then shoots at Henry and a small gunfight starts. James ends up shooting Henry and Henry makes a run for it back to the bedroom with Zoe, where Henry ends up dying. It's crazy to think that anyone could pretty much turn into a madman during the Purge. Number 8. Charlie saves the bloody stranger. While the Purge is taking place, son Charlie uses his time to chill out and drive his robotic camera around the house. At one point the robot ends up in the TV security room where Charlie notices something on one of the security cameras. He spots a bloody man running around the street shouting out to anyone to help him. Charlie then goes to the security room where he hears the man saying that he just wants someone to help him and that he will not hurt anyone, he just wants somewhere to hide until morning. All of a sudden you can hear gunshots in the distance. Charlie then disarms the security and the shutters start to open up. Charlie then runs to the front door and calls out to the man, telling him to run into the house. James then runs down to the security room to see what on earth is going on and he rearms the security, so the shutters start to close again. So the bloody man makes a run for it and he manages to get into the house just before the shutters close. After Henry the boyfriend tries to kill James, the bloody stranger makes a run for it to hide in the house. Number 7. The Purgers arrive at the house. After the bloody stranger hides in the house, James goes looking for him. Meanwhile, a group of crazy looking people arrive at the Sandins' home, wearing creepy masks and armed with weapons. The main leader, otherwise known as the polite leader, rings the doorbell and we see their creepy masks on the security camera. The polite leader then takes off his creepy mask and gives the Sandins family a message. He tells them that they are a group of young and very well educated people who wear their masks every year where they like to annihilate in order to cleanse their souls. He then tells them that the bloody stranger was their target, and that their neighbours have told them that he is in their house, and they want him back. Adding that the guy that they have in their house is nothing but a dirty homeless guy. The leader then gives them an ultimatum to return the homeless guy back to them alive. Otherwise, they will suffer the same fate that they have for the homeless man, and adds that they will be able to break into their home. It's a very unnerving scene that really gives you the creeps, but at the same time, it's one of those scenes where you just cannot look away. It gives you the feeling of dread because the idea of crazy people threatening to break into your home and kill you is just one of the most scariest things ever. Number 6. The polite leader kills one of his own. After that creepy announcement, James tells his wife and son that they need to find the homeless man and give him back to the group of Purgers as they requested. While James is hunting for the man, the polite leader bangs on the front door asking to have a word. When James goes to the front door, the leader asks him why hasn't he delivered the homeless guy yet. James explains that they cannot find him and that this was all a misunderstanding. As James is saying all of this, one of the group of Purgers gets impatient and starts hurling abuse at the front door. The polite leader then pulls out a gun and shoots the Purger dead, and he then tells James that the person who he has just killed was his friend and he isn't. So he is willing to do anything if they don't deliver the homeless guy, and informs them that their equipment will be with them soon and they will get into the house. Number 5. The family catch the homeless man. A brutal moment now in our next spot when the Sandins family capture this homeless man. Just before they do catch him, the homeless guy takes daughter Zoe hostage with a gun. James tells the guy that the Purgers will kill us all if you don't leave, but the homeless guy tells him that he doesn't deserve to die either. Wife Mary is behind the guy with a gun, but when she makes a noise, the guy turns around and he throws the daughter down, and then James tackles the guy to the ground. James picks up a vase and knocks out the homeless guy. James and Mary then proceed to tie up the homeless guy with duct tape, but as they're doing it, he wakes up and James then has to hold down the guy and he tells him to stop struggling. James then tells Mary to grab the letter opener and press it onto the guy's wounds, which she does end up doing in front of his son. It's really messed up because this well-established family are slowly becoming one of these crazy Purgers, torturing this guy on the floor just to get him to stop struggling. Number 4. The Purgers Break In. Time has run out for the Sandins family. They have tied up the homeless guy, but they have decided they cannot go through with it. While Mary is going around the house looking for Charlie, she sees a load of cars and vehicles arriving outside the house. The Purgers put some chains on every door and every window. The main leader then makes a huge speech before the Purgers then start their vehicles and rip off every security shield from the windows and the doors, and James and Mary are armed and ready to fight them. It's not long before the Purgers enter the house and all hell breaks loose. Number 3. James is fatally stabbed. Once the Purgers enter the home, James and Mary are at the ends of the house trying to fight them off and protect their children. However, things take a sinister turn when James gets into a fight with two Purgers, a man and a woman, both wearing creepy masks. James manages to shoot and kill the girl and smashes the other guy's head in, but then a third Purger smashes through the window and James ends up grappling with him on the floor in an intense fight scene. James manages to grab an axe and kill him, and just when you think James is okay, the main leader pops out from nowhere and stabs James in the chest. Number 2, the Crazy Neighbours. Just when it looked like that Mary was going to meet her end, all of the neighbours turn up and they start killing all of the attackers. Mary and Charlie spot a hurt James on the floor struggling and they go to his aid. All of a sudden the main leader pops out, but daughter Zoe manages to shoot him and kill him. The family then all rally around and try to help a hurt James, but James ends up passing away in their arms. Then the neighbours arrive and Mary thanks them for what they've done, but the neighbours tell them not to thank them just yet because they only kill the attackers because they want to kill the whole family. The neighbours tie up Mary and the 2 kids on the floor, and then they get into a circle and they start doing some sort of weird purge chant, and just as they are about to kill them, the homeless man arrives on the scene armed with a gun. And he grabs one of the neighbours and orders the rest of them to untie the family. It's a real ironic twist, because if the Sandins had sent the homeless man outside earlier on in the movie, then he wouldn't have been around to save them at the end. Number 1, table face slam. My favourite part of the movie now. After all the crazy neighbours have been disarmed and the Sandin family have been rescued by the homeless guy, we cut to one of the final scenes in the movie, where Mary and the crazy neighbours are sitting around the dinner table, with the homeless guy being the security guard. They're all sitting there waiting for the 7 AM mark and for the purge to be over. Now imagine how awkward that would be, just sitting there with your crazy neighbours that just try to kill you and your whole family. When Mary turns her head for a moment, one of the neighbours tries to grab her gun, but Mary, she gets up and slams the end of the shotgun into the neighbour's face. She then proceeds to slam dunk the neighbour's face into a glass table, which literally smashes in her face. It's a brilliant moment and I found this scene so satisfying to watch. I think a few of us would actually like to do the same thing to one of our neighbours. But anyway, just at that moment, the purge siren rings out, signalling the end of the purge for this year, and Mary tells her neighbours to get the hell out of her house. I don't know about you guys, but I would have loved to have seen a sequel from this particular movie to see how the hell these neighbours get on after this awful night together. I think it would have been great. And that was the top 10 moments from The Purge. So guys, what did you think of my list? Do you think I missed something out? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments box below. And if you did enjoy this video, then why not share it with your friends and share the love. Okay guys, well thank you all for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, stay safe, and I'll see you all again very soon.